Mallard is a small Métis community about 4 hours north of Winnipeg. So growing up there wasn't much to do. I grew up with eczema. I struggled a lot with it, struggled a lot with confidence. I got made fun of, got bullied for it. And, I just remember, being a young kid and struggling with, my skin and my confidence. And that's kind of where I found hockey. And of course I had such a great family to lean on, and it was hard for me to want to go back to school. Or I know there's this one time where I wanted to quit, and I kept telling my chum that I didn't want to go back. And he was a minister, and he prayed for me, and he told me, what, my girl, he's like, one day God's gonna put you in a place where everyone's gonna notice you. And here I am, 5 years old, not knowing, like, I can't even see past tomorrow. And when he told me not to give up. And so that's kind of when I found my out through sport. I loved playing hockey. I loved playing basketball and soccer and softball. And I was my dad's tail. He played in all these rec hockey tournaments and rec ball tournaments and whatnot. And I chased him everywhere. And I guess I loved hockey so much. And I always wanted to play with my older boy cousins and stuff like that, because they were all enrolled in hockey. And I begged my dad. I asked him and asked him and asked him. And finally, he bought my first pair of skates from Canadian Tire, and I didn't look back. I could spend hours on the outdoor rink just skating, and even when I was terrible, I could just be out there and just being out there by myself. And I felt like it gave me like this sense of hope, I guess. And I would always just imagine myself, shooting pucks and playing in like a big game, or playing with Team Canada one day or something like that, or playing university. That's kind of what kept me going, was, the hope to see the world. We didn't really have the means for my parents to pay for university. My dad was a bus driver growing up, and my mom was going to school to be a teacher. They always stressed that hockey was an option to get noticed and get a scholarship and go to the States. I remember in grade 8 or 9 is when it starting to become a reality for myself. And I sat down at the kitchen table with my parents, made like a 5-year, 10-year plan. I want to go to university. I want to finish grade 9. I want to finish high school. I want to make Team Manitoba. I want to play on Team Canada and get a scholarship to the States, and maybe one day play in the Olympics. It was unrealistic at the time, to be honest, but I knew I had to set goals for myself and I guess work towards something every single day. I started going for runs. My dad bought me rollerblades, and we'd be rollerblading on the highway after school, full equipment, be in our rollerblades. My dad would be in this car, and we'd be rollerblading from hydroline to hydroline. And then finally I started to kind of get better. I ended up making Team Manitoba again, and U18 Team Canada, and I got noticed by all these universities. And I ended up going to the University of Minnesota Duluth, and that was one of the best times in my life, but also probably one of the worst times. I have learned a lot about myself. As soon as I got to college, I kind of ran into a problem. I started relying on my skill rather than, working my butt off again. And I ended up doing well in college, but not being able to balance learning that importance of balancing my schoolwork and my hockey and a social life, because it was kind of like I let my social life overpower everything else. I came into the Olympics and trying out for the Olympic team in 2013. I remember when I got invited, and I was at camp with, Haley Wickenheiser and Jana Hefford and Carolyn Willette, and, all these big names that you've watched growing up. And I kind of remember thinking, like, I'm here, but like, I don't feel, like I'm prepared enough to be here or something. And I was still letting my social life kind of overpower everything else. I ended up getting cut that year. And I remember how hard I took it. I felt like I just didn't enjoy hockey at one point, where I wanted to quit. I was just in a really bad place mentally, but I ended up making Team Canada 2 years in a row. And I thought, oh yeah, like I could still do what I'm doing and still make the team. I'm fine. It wasn't until later probably later in 2016 and 2017 where I realized that I needed to make a change and I needed to turn my life around. I wasn't becoming a person that I was proud of. So I reached out to the GM of Hockey Canada, asked her to chat, and I told her that I wanted to quit drinking and I wanted to change my life for the better. In December 2017, I found out that I was going to the Olympics. I still remember that day. I was super nervous. I had knots in my stomach. I didn't sleep the night before. I remember texting my parents and my family that I don't know if I'm gonna make the team, and they were like, "You're gonna make it," and I'd be like, "No." And I remember going into the coach's office, sitting down, and then the coach, telling me that I made the team, and I didn't believe it. I was overwhelmed with emotion. Like, it was kind of like a sigh of relief, but I was also excited. I remember telling my parents. My dad cried, and my mom cried, and I know everyone was so excited for me. I remember the opening ceremonies when they announced Canada, and we all walked in with all the other athletes, and that's kind of when it set in that I achieved my goal and I made it. I embraced the role of becoming an ambassador for the youth and Indigenous kids, and being able to share my story. I had this one kid that he was like almost happy that he went through the same thing that I went through, where he's like, "I have eczema too," and like, "I got bullied too." I guess they found comfort in being able to relate to me, and then knowing that I was able to get through it so they could get through it too. I know what it's like to be excluded, or be the only person like me in that room. So, and how uncomfortable it does feel sometimes, and having to go through facing racism at a young age, and throughout my life, like it's very uncomfortable feeling. And I feel like people of color, Indigenous, Black, like you don't have to go through that. There would be hope to one day live in a society that is everyone is equal. I do play in the Calgary region for the PWHPA. I'm a part of the Dream Gap Tour. Playing in this association means a lot to me because we have hopes for a future sustainable league. But I'm hoping that for when my niece is my age, that she is able to come in and play in a sustainable league that is, treats us like professionals. That's exactly what we're hoping to do, is, kind of make waves and build a future for the next generation. My favorite candy is nibs. My favorite hobby is camping in the summer. My favorite song is probably Anything by Drake. My favorite thing about Calgary is how close it is to the mountains. I'm a pro scout for the Chicago Blackhawks. I basically watch all of the kids that are drafted in the NHL that play in the Western Hockey League and write reports and track their progress. And I'm very honored and excited to be with the organization.